How do, ladies, gents, and others? It's Royston Charmaine here. Do you want to see a video that might age like milk? Well, here you go. What I've laid out here, yes, this is Microsoft Excel. There is no expense spared here on the Royston Charmaine YouTube channel. I've laid out all of the Sleep Token albums so far, 12 tracks apiece. And then I've left a blank column here for Even in Arcadia, because what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and predict roughly how this album's going to go, and that's why this may very well age terribly. Because these three albums, while they aren't exactly the same, they don't follow like a strict structure or pattern, they do, to paraphrase George Lucas, they do rhyme. And I do think there's something that we can parse from the track listing, the track order of the first three Sleep Token albums, to come up with an idea of what Even in Arcadia may become. Well, I say become. They've already made it, but you know what I mean. So I think first and foremost, the beginnings and the ends are both very much prologue and epilogue. Now, I've already kind of gone through this in that video where I, go through and explain. Well, basically, I make a story out of each album, and I think the band have already done that. That's definitely already there. It's not something I was conjuring out of thin air. Like, these tracks do follow each other, and less so Sundowning, but definitely Tomb and Eden. They both have a very defined theme that tracks throughout the album. Like, in This Place Will Become Your Tomb, it's the depths of the ocean. And in Take Me Back to Eden, it's kind of a chemistry technology kind of vibe. And even in Arcadia, the one song we've heard from it so far, which has been confirmed to be the second track. I'm typing one-handed here, by the way, if my typing feels slow. I did think I should put the mic on a stand so I have both hands, but then I've hit record and I haven't done that. The microphone is in my left hand, so there's going to be some awkward stretches across the keyboard with my one hand here. But Emergence is already confirmed to be track 2, and that does track, especially even just within the song title, it tracks with both the Summoning and the Offering, in that it's the beginning of the story. So I think these three, well, obviously this one, because it's literally come out, but these two, I think they'll definitely keep going with that. Even just based on what Emergence is, how that song is, what those lyrics are, it very much follows, especially Offering and Summoning, it's the opening of the story. Like, if you think about The Night Does Not Belong to God, that sets the scene of the world that we're in, and then the Offering is that initial, offering of ourselves to sleep, to become Sleep's vessel. I know there were EPs before that, but they do kind of refresh and start the story anew with Sundowning. Tomb, it's the same. Atlantic kind of fills us in with what happened since Bloodsport, with the word I can't say on YouTube attempt, and then Hypnosis begins the story of the album. And Chokehold to a slightly lesser extent, but I think still, Chokehold, you've got me in a chokehold. It's very much, here's where we are, And musically, it literally follows from Missing Limbs. Like that dissonant noise that fades out Missing Limbs and fades in Chokehold. Again, they rhyme. There's a pattern that emerges if you look at these albums as a whole. And then, Bloodsport, Missing Limbs, Euclid, they're all clearly separate to the final tracks. Bloodsport is a summary of the entire Sundowning album. Missing Limbs is a lamentation of what's happened in Tomb. And Euclid is like a last hope at getting back to Eden after the ending of Take Me Back to Eden, which is very much accepting that we can't go back to the past. And each of these, Drag Me Under, High Water, Take Me Back to Eden, they all have a pattern of acceptance. Even if that acceptance is begrudging, like Drag Me Under, like Say That You Will is one last beg for love. And then Drag Me Under is the acceptance that there is no love, but fine, just take me anyway. And High Water is the same. I will accept that I can't pretend we will ever be together. Take Me Back to Eden is the same. I have travelled far beyond the path of reason. Take Me Back to Eden, and it's the scream to Take Me Back to Eden is this. Again, it's a lamentation that we know it's not going to happen now. It's too late. It's too far gone. And actually, Say That You Will, Telomeres, and Rain all fit into, go into those songs by being kind of pseudo love songs. It's like Say That You Will, like I said, it's like a begging for the love to be real before the acceptance that it isn't. Telomeres is just a straight up love song, but it's like a fantasy. It's like Telomeres feels very lost between Descending and High Water, in that it doesn't follow either of them, but it does if you think of it as Vessel's last fantasy of what could have been. And then Rain, you know, as I said in the in the tier list video, Rain, not my favourite Sleep Token song, but there is that, it's very similar to Say That You Will, you know, rain down on me. It's really like kind of begging for something real, which we then accept that we won't have. In the middle of the albums, there is less of a pattern between them. Like, for example, Take Aim and Fall for me definitely track, but then they don't really track with Ascensionism. Higher and Vor track, but that doesn't track with The Love You Want. So, like I say, it's not a direct, each album follows this exact pattern, but there is a definitive like storytelling technique that all of them conform to. And so I think I think we can extrapolate from that roughly how Even in Arcadia is going to go. I would be shocked, actually. Well, not shocked. Surprised. I'd be surprised if Even in Arcadia isn't 12 tracks long. Just because the others are. And I don't know, I think Vessel just has a structure in his mind of how the songs should go and how they should follow one another. And I think especially on the last two albums, that's really clear. So I'm pretty confident with these 5. I'm pretty confident that, well, we know this is going to be track 2. So I'm pretty confident that that's what's going to follow, what's going to go before it. And I'm pretty confident that this is how it's going to end, or some variation of it. Maybe love is the wrong word. Maybe hope is the right word. So hope, and then the acceptance of that hope being forlorn. Maybe. We'll see. But then what of the rest of the album? There's a big old gap here. I think there's still stuff that we can take. So the offering into Levitate. So the offering, the very beginning of the story, we first become Sleep's vessel. Levitate, will you take me with you as you ascend? Mine isn't a question, it's you will be mine. But again, it just has that edge of defiance. It's still this hope that despite us being hypnotized and very much a vessel, we will turn that around and then grant it. You know, I was more than just a body in your passenger seat. I am more than what you've treated me as so far. This comes after Vessel summoning more from himself. So I think, based on Emergence, this track may very well be something something kind of similar to Do You Wish That You Loved Me, only not internalized, externalized. It might be like a can you change kind of vibe. Can you actually change? Will you actually do better if I give you a chance? Briefly though, this video is sponsored by me, Rustin Charmaine, and my T-Mill store. Look at those garms you can get. rustincharmaine.tmill.com. Look at that, looking fresh. Or, alternatively, you can instead support me on Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/rustincharmaine or scan the QR code. Thank you! So track 4... to be honest, actually, I think here is where the patterns all kind of shift. Because Higher and Vor are both, for me, definitely sleep talking. And so is Like That. So maybe like these two have swapped around. I don't think the placing is as intentional as at the beginning and the end. I think the beginning and the end clearly have deliberate placing, whereas the middle doesn't really. But there are still kind of definitive patterns that we can track. So we have Higher, we have kind of Like That, I guess, and I'd say Vor. I think ARCADIA and Dark Signs also follow a bit of a pattern of kind of Vessel starting to feel himself a little bit. And I think by this point in the story, I think even by kind of down here, Vessel's kind of grown beyond sleep. And so I think there'll be another track, probably track 4 actually, of kind of, let's just call it Beyond, of Vessel talking about how he's grown beyond his need for sleep, and that kind of tracks with Emergence again, of being like, it's not me who needs you now, it's you who needs me. I'm not going to be around forever. Take it or leave it. And I think that's definitely a track that we could get either here or maybe 5th. Although 5th, I feel like it's not really a statement of what the song's about, but I think 5th will be heavy. I think 5th. I'm looking at Vor. Higher as well. Higher ends very heavy. It has, it's one of the screaming vocal tracks in there. Gods is definitely the heaviest though on that album. And then Tomb doesn't really have that heavy a song. It's too depressing, quite frankly, to have that heavy of a song. But I think even Arcadia will, and I think it'll be probably number 5, maybe number 6. What about towards the end? So we have the last hope, we have the acceptance that hope is forlorn, and then we have the epilogue. What else leads into this? So in Sundowning we have, in my opinion, 2 tracks from Sleep's perspective. One, though, Sugar, is a response to the offering. I've done a video saying all the references in High Water, and there's a lot of references in High Water to Atlantic, to that word I can't say on YouTube attempt. So perhaps here we'll get the response to Emergence. Do you think? Maybe not just to Emergence, but to these kind of 3 in general. We might get a sleep response. So like, come out from underneath who you were. And that response might well be negative. It might well be a backlash at having been. In fact, that might be what this is, Let's call it now. A backlash. Because Emergence, if you really think about it, if you think about these characters and the story so far of, of Higher, of kind of, all of this album, it's very much a one-sided abusive relationship. Emergence is kind of patronizing a little bit, you know. It's like, I can see that you're better than this. Come on, come out. Come out from underneath who you were. It can come off a little bit condescending. And so maybe the heavy song, can you tell I'm making this up as I go along? Maybe the heavy song will be, fuck you, man. I don't need to change anything. I'm still powerful. I'm still a fucking god. Shut your mouth. And it might very well be that. And then following that, typically, if we look at kind of higher into Take Aim, or I guess by this time he's getting stronger, but I always think higher into Take Aim and God's Sugar into Say That You Will Drag Me Under, usually after these heavy beat down songs, there's then kind of a cowed song. But maybe by this time we won't get that. Maybe it'll be a He Isn't Cowed song. So maybe like a Not Cowed. Because that's generally what follows those kinds of songs with Sleep Token. So then we're down to 2 gaps. So let's just refresh it, because I've been waffling. And as I said, I am definitely making this up as I go. I thought, I've known prologue, epilogue forever. And the beginnings and ends, like I say. The middle I'm making up as I go. So let's see how this flows so far. So we have the prologue. There's going to be a prologue. There always is in Sleep Token albums. That's a definitive. Just setting the story. It's probably going to be a song about Arcadia and what that is. Following on from our failure to return to Eden. Emergence, we know that song. Can You Change will be maybe a bit of a slower one, maybe a bit more of a bit of a granite, a bit of a more downbeat hip hop kind of song. Beyond will be a bit of a more guitar driven, I'm trying to think of the word, like triumphant song maybe. Backlash, big heavy, hey fuck you, get back in your place. And then that following track, we might be on for another kind of Ascensionism kind of track where it's like cowed at the beginning and then we grow and as it builds and gets heavier and more confident. So then what would follow that? Because Are You Really Okay following Ascensionism does make complete sense. I don't like the song, but it does make sense. Because it's him realising that he's the better out of the two of them and she's the one who's actually damaged. So maybe after We're Not Cowed, it's like maybe an olive branch. I guess that's already what Emergence kind of is. But maybe this is a final olive branch. Although I guess then if that's the case, it would make more sense for that to go there. So then what could go here? I know what's going here. I call them Drama Kid Deftones for a reason. Depeche tones. I think I know what's going here. I just don't really want to say it to you because I know a lot of you don't like it when I talk about Sleep Token like this, because lots of you like to think that every Sleep Token song is super deep. But they're really not. Not all of them. I think what's going here is a sex jam. Yeah, that makes sense actually. That makes sense. So, right, like I said at the beginning, this could very easily age like milk. I am confident on the bookends, prologue, epilogue, they'll definitely do that. They always do that. We know Emergence is second. I'm pretty confident on how it's going to end because that's how it makes sense to end. The middle, though, I've just made up. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is how it goes. Because that does kind of follow a Sleep Token album kind of story, doesn't it? You know, we have our introduction. Well, we make the setting, we begin the story, we set out the crux of the story. We have a vessel focused song, we have a sleep focused song, we have the aftermath of the sleep focused songs. They're normally big and heavy and meaningful. We have some groovy sex jam because Sleep Token like doing those. They are Deftones disciples. And then we have the build to the ending, and then the final acceptance of the ending, and then a summary. I don't think that's going to be far off, you know. I think that's probably roughly there or thereabouts what we're going to get. But I'm sure that the next single that comes out on Genius will be labelled as track 6, and it'll be a soft ballad, and I will be completely wrong. But hey, well, that's the fun of speculation videos, isn't it? You have a complete stab in the dark and then look like a fool. Let's return to this after the full album comes out. Until then, I've been Rustin Charmaine. Until the future, drive safe.